time, we start this off to the bottom left-hand side with our blue Zerg player. This, my friends, from Jin Air Green Wings, is Rogue. Going up against the Red Terran. The top right-hand side of the map. This is time. You're going to bring me some cookies next time, Story Cup? Okay, well, that's just wonderful of you. If you had cookies, wouldn't you just eat them and then you wouldn't have any again? I mean, we call that a paradox, where you have an issue, you know. It's like a never-ending circle of, well, what happens next? Really, it just means that I need someone, really just means, you know, we need someone to consistently bring cookies. We need a cookie bringer. Is Naruto not streaming today? Sadly, I don't think so. I think Naruto is a little bit ill today, so he's not going to be streaming. So you're just stuck with me today, guys. I'm sorry. If I have any of my German friends out in the chat, then hallo und willkommen. Ich kann nicht so gut Deutsch sprechen, aber wir haben sehr gut StarCraft spielen zu sehen or something. There you go. Perfect, right? Who needs Naruto anyways? I look like him, I said like a sentence of German. It's probably all good. It's basically the same. Getting this set up and getting this rolling. 6 lings are going to be on the way up in a couple of moments. What's the Panda HD in the chat? Wardy, how you doing? Well, how goes it? Same question, really, just rephrased. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. I'm excited for the day. I think today's going to be big. And, yeah, I think it's going to be pretty exciting. This is going to be a pool first from Rogue, so already 6 Zerglings coming across the map. No gas with it initially, so it is just pool hatch gas. And so going into pool hatch gas means that you're just going to have these first 6 Zerglings as your pressure across the map here. A Marine coming up means that with SCVs pulled, you should be able to deal with this, but Rogue will probably get a couple of workers killed. That's going to be the challenge here. Trying to keep as many workers alive as possible. Obviously looking for a big delay on this command center as well, as that SCV pulls straight up towards the main base. Marine will come. Here come the rest of these SCVs, and obviously you want to keep this Marine alive because that's your main damage output. And SCV goes back onto the command center. Pretty good micro so far. Rogue obviously bowling backwards, trying to just keep you know, the SCVs off the mineral line for as long as possible. SCVs pull back there for a moment. Will come back in. That's 2 SCVs now killed. That's 3. That's 4. And the Reapers come back home as well. 4 workers killed for the 6 lings. As I do see a Reaper coming down the map to have a look to see what's going to be going on. So Reaper coming down to have a little bit of a look to see. And does see the 3rd hatchery dropping down. Reaper grenade drops down, and again just pushing those queens back a little bit. As we do have 5 more drones on the way up. Couple of Hellions on the way out. Stop. We're getting ready to jump over and move towards that tech lab. So getting ready to go in towards a bit of a Cloak Banshee has been very popular lately, especially because of the fact that this is going to be a medevac to begin with. But then Cloak, so it might still be a Banshee afterwards. Cloak Banshee's been very popular because we've been seeing a lot of kind of Hellion, Cyclone, Banshee styles, which transition into late game battle cruisers. And I know you might be thinking, Woody, what on earth are you on? I'm literally just on the TVZs I've been watching for the last few days. So, yeah. You're going to see a couple more Hellions popping out. As we do see a couple of Queens coming through. And again, there's that medevac loading up the Hellions. And heading across to see what damage they can do. Alright, sorry guys. I just got to try. I'm trying to sort out a quick admin issue at the same time. So let me just quickly check something here. Alright. Hellion's going to dive on in and look to try and get a little bit of damage done, picking off 1 drone. Ling's also getting roasted a little bit there as well, so a little bit of damage here and there. Time going to be pulling back around the top side, and well, we do see this Queen coming forwards from Rogue to try and poke away at that medevac. So a little bit of damage being dealt so far. As time not really successful in terms of getting drones just yet. Maybe he could get some on the natural here, as there's still 3 Hellions, but he's instead just going to have to end up picking these up and trading with Zerglings. And again, I mean, he gets rid of a lot of Zerglings, which Maybe he wants to try and force more units out because he wants to make Rogue feel as though he isn't safe. This medevac is low. Should be able to get out alive because this queen isn't stepping forwards. But really only just as the first Banshee from Time arriving across the map right now. Do you see a couple of racks coming down, an engineering base as well, so it's not going to be that Hellion Cyclone style I was talking about, just a Hellion Banshee opening in towards the bio style. With the stem over halfway done, means it's going to be done nice and quickly in the starport. Can move towards the reactor very shortly to start getting medevacs up in time for stem to be ready, as this is a little bit of a frustration. Overseer not quite ready yet, neither was that Spore Crawler. The control from Time is not perfect, though. He does only get 3 workers. Could have been definitely 4 because he had a couple of drones that he shot, and then he shot the queen a couple of times. It definitely could have been 4 or 5. As we do see those queens continue to move out into the center. Queen, gonna fight with this Banshee, and just gonna deal a little bit of damage here as a changeling moving out into the center of the map to see what's going on. Infestation Pit dropping down here from Rogue as well. Medevac comes up, just gonna sit overhead here as we see the Marines and the Widowmine coming down. Banshee coming back home as well. Again, sorry guys, I'm just trying to deal with an admin issue in the very early stages of the tournament today. I think it's pretty much resolved now, so I don't have to pay any more attention to it. And that's why I've just been a little bit boring. But that said, we are setting up now with Lings coming across towards the top side. Widowmines and Marines coming over as a Ling gets picked off pretty much right away there. A couple more Marines coming down to the bottom side. And the Ling's going to keep on running in as we're going to be seeing the armory isn't in place. So actually, the run by will be successful into the natural expansion. These units at the third base are just going to be picking up a few more SCVs as well. And the natural, this actually got dealt with pretty quickly. As we do see this army of Time across the map, going to sling up a little bit of creep spread, which is great and all, but again, he lost a fair amount over here. In fairness, he only lost 2 SCVs. I thought that was going to be worse, but he did lose a few units. A couple of Widowmines here, Unburrow and Reburrow, and they will be able to go off on the Banelings to begin with. Those Widowmines actually doing a fantastic job, to the point where the Marines even drop back down. Bane's just used himself to kill off the Widowmines, and suddenly that means that these Marines can actually keep on fighting here, because the Banelings aren't around. So it's just these Queens in a little bit of trouble. At this point, the Medevacs have to lift up and leave, but this is actually a pretty good drop out of Time, and Rogue definitely struggling there for a moment or two. Rogue a little behind on the 1-1. We'll get that finished up shortly. And as he finishes up 1-1, we'll have 2-2 getting set to go. As these Marine stem picking off a Creep Tumor. So one Creep Tumor going down. And again, a whole bunch more Banelings finishing up as +1 melee will wrap up too. True will... sorry, not True. Rogue will. I've got True on my mind. Rogue will generally want to go straight in towards 2-2 here, of course, but he actually prioritizes the Hive tech, so we want to go straight into Hive. That's because he isn't really using any lair tech units. Not, he doesn't have a Spire, doesn't have a Hydralisk Den, built the Infestation Pit purely to go into the Hive. So, rushing up the Hive here, Massling Bane, probably moving towards Ultras as well as a possibility. We see a couple of Widowmines burrowing up off of Creep. Widowmines going off here and blowing up just a few Zerglings. And this Time is... oh, just going to lose an entire mineral line to Banelings. That's going to be very, very, very painful. 22 workers going down. More Banelings morphing in up on the top side of the map. As it looks as though Rogue isn't done just yet with his aggression. I was just going to say, there's an Infestation Pit in the main as well. Rogue with the double Infestation Pit here. Not quite the usual way to go about things. We're going to see some Marines unloading and Banelings coming in to crash through and deal a little bit of damage. Hive is about to finish here from Rogue. So Hive finishing up, as you see 5 SCVs going down. Again, just rolling into the natural and just Rogue starting to really cause chaos around the map. Time's economy down to 50 SCVs. We'll have to rebuild that a little bit. He has got a 4th command center about to finish, and if he gets up to a 4th base, this could be fairly decent for him. This Banshee's picked up a lot of kills throughout the game as well, as Lings are just streaming in towards this group of Marines here. Finally, they start to surround and get some real damage done, but overall still a decent trade-off as Bane's crash in again for 5 more SCVs. The crossover this side, though, he does get a cancel or a kill on that hatchery. Widowmine's going off. I'd love to see, well, he's getting Drilling Claws. Drilling Claws will make these Widowmines so much better, because all of a sudden, you're going to be in a position where you can keep those alive after they've fired. Now, these ones staying alive, is already a little bit of a surprise. As you see the Lings running in. And we do see Marines just dropping down over here, and a couple of Widow Mines going to be able to burrow up as well. Widow Mines, oh my god, it's going to go off! It's not a big connection somehow, but it is still a reasonable connection, as we have got these couple of medevacs coming up to the top side. Alright, so medevacs coming around over to the left. Marines continue to fight here, and we're just going to be seeing again a couple of Widow Mines clean up a whole bunch of Zerglings. So a whole bunch of Lings taking damage there, as we see more Marines running over. I'm just going to continue trying to fight this, but I mean, honestly, these Marines could have unloaded from the medevacs to help out. And as we're going to be seeing the Marines continue to unload over in the main base, these Marines have to lift up once again as well. And we do see Chitinous Plating currently on the way up on the Ultras Cavern. So Chitinous Plating coming up on the Ultras Cavern, a couple of Vipers coming through as well. On the far right-hand side, we see these Marines going to continue fighting. Lings coming in for a surround. And those medevacs just lifting up, backing away off to the right side. So again, just getting out of there, getting out of trouble as soon as possible. And as we are going to be seeing the couple of SCVs continue to wall off. There's the two medevacs loading up once again and moving on over to the left. Scan comes down, a single Zergling here. Probably going to get picked off. And again, CC will land in the next few moments as an Overlord gets taken down. And Rogue will actually be supply blocked, but he's gotten up to Ultras. Beyond all of this, he's been taken up into that hive like we mentioned. And now the Ultras are on the map, that will change the pacing of the game a little bit, because now Time will definitely struggle to be as aggressive as he was being before. His armies are going to be a little bit more tech heavy with the Liberators, etc. So heading in towards this here, as you do see Aspire also dropping down from Rogue over in the main base. Marines and Widow Mines are going to be unloading here as well. You see a Parasitic Bomb coming down, and two Parasitic Bombs. The medevac split away to stop the stacking damage, and should just get out of here alive. One of them does. The other one was just a little bit too low to begin with. Some shots from the Queens helping out there. Time again dropping on this fourth base, or fifth base even, but hasn't found any luck with it. I mean, Time really is one of these Terran players who will start drop and he will just keep on dropping all day long. And the one thing I think he's maybe missed out on while dropping all around the map is this creep spread. He hasn't really done a very good job cleaning it up, or if he has, then, you know, Rogue's done an even better job of keeping it spread back onto the map. But I think when it's spread in so many different directions, it definitely feels as though Time has just been focused on mineral lines a bit too much and not on creep spread. And while it's good to focus on mineral lines and trying to deal damage and cancelling hatcheries, at some point the creep spread has to go down, otherwise you're not going to be able to do anything in this game of TVZ. Now this is a Widow Mine drop that's setting up to come in, but it's going to fly into Spore Crawler 1. It does boost away, but then into a couple of Queens. That medevac is going down before any Widow Mines come out of it. And that's just a little bit, well, not really unfortunate. It's just, I mean, he's been dropping all game long, so of course Rogue has, you know, Spore Crawlers in position to help him out. So there's Widow Mines unable to do anything in the main base. I mean, it was a low health medevac to begin with. Time needs to maybe take a moment just to repair up all of his medevacs here. As we see these couple of Liberators going to keep on sieging. And again, more Lings, Banes, and the Ultra coming over to the left-hand side. The Widow Mine just goes off as we see a Baneling gets turned on there. Marines turning around and just picking that up. So that does happen as we see a couple of Ultras also on the way out at the moment here. And getting this going. Alright, Lings fighting against this Planetary Fortress at the moment. And we are going to be seeing some SCVs in some trouble here. Oh my god, 34 SCVs blow up because this base was oversaturated as well. This Widow Mine doesn't know what to target. Finally goes off on the worst possible thing it could, just the two Lings. Ultras picks off the refinery as well. And again, that single Widow Mine has to be chased down. So that Widow Mine will get picked off here. Again, Bio going to push in and do a little bit more damage, and again, just going to be seeing this Ultra also taking a few shots at the moment. This Ultra taking a few hits at the moment, but does survive at least. Man, Time's economy is in shambles. 36 SDVs, I mean, he's trying to rebuild it, but 34 workers going down here is just insane. That was just an that's just a little bit unfortunate. I mean, oversaturated base, all the Banes roll in, he just didn't pull them away in time. That's very, very painful. As you're going to see these Banes coming through. I mean, this army from Time is also very overstimmed at the moment. As we're going to be seeing 10 SCVs going down again. Once more, a run by just coming through. Rogue will not let this base come up. He will not let this natural expansion survive. And Rogue is just going crazy at the moment as he shuts down absolutely everything possible. Liberators are going to siege up and work their way through anything possible. And that is going to be GG. Rogue picks up game number 1 of the people here. Sometimes there's a few people who are here for the first time, or maybe this is the first tournament you've watched on my channel. You've been watching it over the last week or so. Either way, hello, welcome. It's awesome to see you guys here. Do say hello, let me know what's up. Hope you're having a fantastic weekend. And let's kick off into Rogue versus Time. Game number 2. To the bottom right hand side, our blue Zerg player from Jinair Green Wings is Rogue. Top left hand side, our red Terran player. This is Time. Time honestly played a pretty good early to mid game, I feel. He traded very well. I feel like he had Rogue in a bit of trouble here and there. He killed off a decent amount of, coins and stuff, but going into the later stages, Time is one of those times where he's so reliant on the drops causing enough chaos to just really disrupt the Zerg player, but Rogue is just good enough where he was able to not only shut down the drops continuing on with, really after the early game, I would say the drops didn't do that much at all. So Rogue was continuing to shut down drops while maintaining creep spread on the map, while continuing his production, and he just didn't get, shaken by anything, really. And Time's style really kind of falls apart a bit there, because suddenly he's trying to, be all aggressive and, all of this. He's not ready for later game set of tech units. He's not ready to actually take fights that involve big pushes, because he's rocking around with a set of, he's rocking around on the map with a, so much creep spread on it. How are you ever meant to get anywhere? It's not easy. It's not easy at all. And as we do see the SCV heading down to the bottom right hand side to investigate the happenings here early game from Rogue. This game it is going to be a hatch gas and pool opening, so not going to be seeing those 6 Zerglings. The SCV scout really just making sure that his Reaper can come across the map. It's something a lot of players will not often do because, well, the last thing you want to have happen is, a situation where you get yourself into a really aggressive setup and all of this and that, and suddenly the 6 links show up. So SCV comes across, we don't usually see it. It's just this time wants to really make sure he knows what's going on. As we do see this Reaper coming over and, well, bobbing a drone off to the side. Those Zerglings trying to run forwards, but the Reaper is already backing away. And again, with link speed on the way up in the main base, Rogue continuing through into what will be, again, a movement towards a third base very soon. I love this SCV here, though. We'll actually see the drone coming in. Just wants to confirm that's going to come down. So, Time really looking for information with this SCV early on. Really trying to get a lot out of this, which, again, you just don't usually see all of the time. So, SCV pulling back toward the upper left-hand side, as we do have the Reaper going to go and nibble away at that third hatchery just at the moment. Green dropping some creep spread, pulling it forwards here, pushing it out further onto the map. As we do have elsewhere, well, the starport on the way up in the main base. So getting that starport going, it's a 1-1-1 build. Again, the couple of Hellions going to be popping out of the factory, and we'll see exactly what happens with the starport. Last game, it was that medevac opening to drop those Hellions in. Again, I feel there's maybe some moments where he could have killed drones and instead he focused on killing Zerglings, and, again, which one's better? I mean, definitely usually drones. We'll see what he goes for this time, though, and see if he approaches it in the same way. It could just be straight into Banshees this time. It could be a Viking into a Liberator. I mean, there's really so many options, or Viking into Banshee as well, or just straight up Banshee. This time it is going to be straight up Banshee. So Time is getting himself into a position here where, well, we'll see what it turns into, but it's already looking pretty interesting with a Baneling Nest dropping down in the front of the natural. A Reaper and a couple of Hellions coming forwards to see what they can do. When does Bjorn play? Bjorn is going to be playing from the next series, and he's going to be playing 4 series in a row. So we actually have 4 Bjorn matchups in a row for you guys today. That's just the way the match order worked out, that we're going to be seeing all of the Bjorn games back to back to back. So if you're waiting for Bjorn, it comes up in, well, maybe even after this map, maybe in 2 maps. After this series, Bjorn will start to play, and he'll play all 4 of his best of 3s. And again, it's going to be great. I'm a big fan of Bjorn. Bjorn was one of these players I was casting in like 2016 or so. When he was playing in like a lot of these online cups, the Doyu cups and so on, and it was just before he really got into that stage of being one of the best players in the world, right? Like, and he was just on an absolute tear in these online cups, and since then I've always really enjoyed watching him, and he's always been very He's always been a very nice player to me. He's been a very positive player. He even complimented my casting one time, even though I don't think he understands it. He always says he watches my stream. So, I mean, you know, how can he not be a fan of Bjorn? I think I have a bit of a bias. Anyways, going to be seeing a few queens here starting to fight. And, well, you know what? This Banshee is just out of range of Spore Crawler detection. Oh, but that's what's going to come up, isn't it? It's going to be pretty close. I'm surprised he turns around onto the queens. Probably because he knows, I guess, that transfusions are here. Oh my god, those Banes starting to come forwards. Are going to go off on a couple of these Hellbats as they are going to get pushed away out into the center. Queenslings and Banes all gathering up over on this right-hand side. We see the few Hellbats and the Banshee hanging out in the middle of the map as well. I'm going to be seeing drones finally coming over to saturate this third base after this initial aggression. I mean, while Time didn't do a lot, he did keep all of his units alive, more or less. I mean, this only cost him 3 Hellbats. He still forced out some Banelings in the early stages, and in general, he's, set up into a pretty good spot here. So, I still don't mind it for Time. Yeah, okay, maybe didn't do the damage you wanted, but you have those Hellions alive, which can be Hellbats in a later fight. That definitely helps. So yeah, I mean, he has the Banshees around still too, so they can come in for harassment. But look at the Spore Crawlers here. 2 spores in the main, only 1 in the natural. And in the third base, there's that 1 single spore as well. But I wonder where the other spore went, actually. Maybe he morphed that spore here, and then moved it back to the natural. Or moved it into the main base. Either way, 2 spores in the main means that the Banshees are really unable to come in here. The natural's pretty safe anyways, because it's kind of difficult to get into the natural in the first place with the Banshees. Either you have to come through the third or through the main. I mean, if you fly in over here, it's very risky because Queens and an Overseer are hanging out, right? So the natural doesn't really need an extra spore, and I guess the third base he's kind of confident with, so he just puts that extra Spore Crawler in the main base because it's the most common place for the Banshees to fly in from. And hey, it makes sense because that's definitely where they tried to come in from. You're going to see Rogue completely changing up his playstyle this game, though. From last game, where he went purely for the Ling Bane into that faster hide, he throws down a Spire this time, so putting his lair into use, more so than just for an Overseer or 2. With this fast Spire, he's going to be able to go into some Mutalisks, which have definitely had a bit of a resurgence in TVZ as of late. The nerf to the 4 makes it not as good against the Mutalisks, so Zerg players are finding it a good option. And in general, the Zerg options in TVZ at the moment are very awesome to see because there's really a variety of styles that are very viable. Ling Bane Hydra, Ling Bane Muta. We see some Roach styles coming in every now and again. This SCV from Time realizes it probably doesn't want to be over here and starts to head home. But yeah, it's really cute as we see some Banes are morphing in on the top side of the map. We'll check in on those in a moment. This medevac gets deflected, and here come these Banes. Bane speed ready, but a siege tank in position. They'll blow up the first Baneling, and the others will just turn away. Rogue realizing there's not really much opportunity to do much there, as these Marines will start to unload, and actually will be able to pick up those Bane kills. They get a couple of Marines, but definitely worthwhile picking those off. Nice little opportunity taken there by Time. As we see, again, just going to lift up and just being as annoying as possible with these drops. He has got 1-1 ahead of Rogue yet again. Whereas, I mean, he's got the armory too, because he had Hellbats early. He just needs to start up 2-2. Cannot forget that for too long. I mean, the more of an upgrade lead you have as the Terran player, the better this will be for you. Now, this is Mutalisks, and I wonder if Mutas are used on this map because this map is actually very good for tanks. Moving forwards here, tanks setting up on these ledges and pushing in towards these bases are very good. So, the Mutas to be used to kind of push in and to kind of pick off a tank here or there could be very viable, as we're going to be seeing that's a hell of a lot of Zerglings. And that's not a completed wall off the Marines. Well, it's completed, but it's down. The Marines were intending to wall off. As now he'll try and hold on to the main. Well, you will get the 4th base right away. This is the sort of time where you need to move forwards and get even more damage done, though, I think, as time. Because you're going to take a lot of damage across the map. Already, a lot of SCVs going down. But, I mean, this is pretty good, right? I mean, he's going to get a 3rd base as well. So Rogue's amount of bases is really going to be down in the gutter already. Even if the SCV count is going to also be down in the gutter. So, I mean, the one thing Time has to do is just keep pressing forwards. I mean, there's getting to be a lot more Banelings on this side of the map, but there's also a decent amount of Marines over here. The tank as well. Okay, well, that's where Rogue decides to turn around and come back home. He's happy with this base being up over here. He's kept the drones alive, which might be the most important part of this. By keeping the drones alive, he keeps himself in a position where potentially he can just sort of clean this army up and then he can rebuild. Because obviously Time's not going to be able to rebuild anywhere near as easily, but I tell you what, those Marines are still around and they are going to be able to keep on fighting here for a little while at least. The tanks got taken down though. But without Banelings, this is going to be very tough, and that Baneling Nest is beginning to drop. Rogue doesn't have that many, that much gas, and actually Time reinforced across the map here, so Time pushing forwards, and Rogue is on purely Lings and Mutalisks. That is not going to be pretty. He's got the Queens to help out too, but there's finally the drones coming in. Let's have a little bit of a zoom in to see what's happening even underneath these Mutalisks. More Marines are about to show up, and I think those Mutalisks are still in a lot of trouble as Time's counterattack is going to do a lot. He brings Rogue all the way down to 42 drones, and he's still picking off creep spread. That Baneling Nest is still not ready, so in fact, just continue to rally Marines across the map is almost always going to find an efficient trade. The 4 joining in as well will do a great job of just adding some damage and helping out here. I mean, it's actually surprising how well the 4 does, even just against Ling Bane. Just because of how it tanks and so on, man. Those meters are taking a few hits already. The Baneling Nest is coming in right now, but I don't think Rogue thinks he can wait any longer. I think he knows as soon as he loses this base, this game probably does end because of the fact that just the way that, you know, the orbitals are still up here from Time. So Rogue dives on it maybe a bit sooner than he was originally hoping to. But, well, it's starting to work out as he's Medivac still healing though, but in the end, the meters chase a bit too far. That 4 is kept alive on 2 hit points. Absolutely incredible control out of Time here, as now he lifts that 4 up, brings it back up home, and that is going to be, wow, I mean, keeping the 4 alive is crazy. That 6 supply is such an expensive unit that now you can get repaired, bring back into play, and Time is taking a worker lead off of this. Fantastic stuff. As you see, SCV is going to come in and just repair up this 4. What went wrong for Rogue? A question in the chat. I mean, it was just the way he dealt it, right? Yes, he dealt a lot of damage over here, but you have to remember that Time already had a very good army, and that army was definitely in favor. And so when Rogue decided to counterattack, he knew he'd have to come back and deal with this, and Time just took a good enough fight so that he ended up with enough units, and then Rogue was not able to get more Banes up before the Bane Nest died, and that really extended the amount of time where Time was going to be able to, well, deal a lot of damage. And again, now those muters are in trouble, and Rogue, again, he did a lot of damage, but he needed to deal with the army, and the fact he wasn't able to deal with the army gave Time the opportunity to get back into this. Needs to split those Marines a little bit. Those were some connections that maybe could have gone a bit better for Time. As you do see, Lings are going to run in for us around here. I mean, there's 4 back up to health, trying to fight those Mutalisks, but time to lift up and get away. It's going to be tough to actually get away, though. He's going to stim a few Marines here in the center. 4 will drop back down. Here come the reinforced Marines. That's all you have to do, get back to reinforcements. May lose the 4, but is able to stay alive otherwise. 10 SCVs just went down. I imagine a couple Banes rolling in to this base as Rogue starts to set up the counterattacks once again. A lot of Marines down to the bottom of the map. Creep spreading out onto the map. As you do see those Mutalisks starting to come in, but now going to be pulling back as well. Here we go. The Marines are going to start splitting up once again as the Lings continuing to drop. But this is going to be a cleanup, man. This is crazy. Time starts up 2-2 upgrades. That's actually a really big deal because 2-2 is definitely something that Rogue isn't thinking about right now. Rogue is like, oh my god, I need units, units, units. If he can, Time can get up to 2-2, and obviously Rogue doesn't, that's a huge upgrade advantage for Time to make use of here in this game number 2, and that would be a big deal. So, especially as this game seems to be continuing onwards, I think Time should be fairly happy to sit back for a few moments. Think about it, he's got 3 bases here against the 3 bases of Rogue. They're equal on workers. The creep spread is very poor, and that's the one thing I do like about Time continuing to be aggressive. His creep spread is, he's keeping the creep spread pretty much impossible to kind of keep going forwards. Now there is some creep up to this top side, but that doesn't matter while this base isn't here. And Time just scanned to check if the 4th base was up, really get a bit of an idea as to how this game is going for himself. Sets up a missile turret so that he doesn't have to worry about these muters quite as much while he's pushing out on the map, because it is getting to that stage where as muters get rebuilt, Rogue will look to use these as counter-attacking units. So if Time wants to keep on moving across the map again and using the muters now as a distraction, also to roll in with Banelings on the 3rd base, it's one of those situations where if that's how Rogue's going to play, and if Time wants to move out again, he needs to start setting up static defense at home. But man, that 2-2 is going to be absolutely incredible. It's going to be ready so far in advance, and I wonder if Time, he's got the gas. He might even just go into 3-3, and as long as Rogue is only sat on 3-ish bases, I don't think Time's going to be all that bothered about it. He just floated his main base over to a fresh new base as well, so in general, he's kind of okay here in terms of his base count. The only issue is these bases are now very spread out, and neither of them are a planetary fortress, because this was the main base orbital relocated. And that is the one weakness of floating your orbital to outer bases, that you do not have a kind of a planetary on the 4th, and you generally have a planetary on the 4th, so it makes it easier for you to deal with the Zerg being so quick and mobile between your bases, with the kind of just fact that they have a lot of very fast units. Another 4 on the way up here, as we're going to be seeing Well, 88 Army Supply of the Terran moves out against 70 of the Zerg with 2-2 against 1-1 upgrades in play. You just fly in overhead. 8 SCVs, 10 SCVs killed off so far. To the top side, some Banes coming in as well. And that missile turret didn't last very long, but as the Mutas are over here, Time just says, okay, well, let's go for this. As you see the Banes coming in, needs to try and deal with this as best as he can. Honestly, this was pretty well dealt with because the Banes mostly went off on tanks. I mean, there's a lot of Marines left over to keep pressing forwards, and that's the important part here. He needs to get those tanks sieged up ASAP so he has some splash damage onto the Banes. I mean, this base is going down. You can see the Mutas are coming back home as well on your mini-map. They're going to roll in to try and target down the tanks ASAP. As we see, still a few Marines remaining. This 4 gets another shot off. It's very close, but Time is going to be cleaned up and pushed away again. He didn't even get the base. 156 health. Somehow Rogue keeps us alive, but Marines are now ready. The Baneling count is back to 12, so already looking good. As you do see those Marines pulling back. So Marines pull back in. He's going to pull back once again as Lings and Banes will keep on crashing forwards. Going to come all the way through. A couple of medevacs in some trouble as well. I think Time now is maybe being a little bit too aggressive, and Rogue will close this out with a 2-0, but only just. Rogue